So, a couple months ago, I started this series. Random NBA players that were all-stars for 1 year. And that was it. There was never an all-star again. And I started from the 2000s to the 2000. I think I left off at 2010. Yeah, I didn't go to the 90s. Maybe I might go to the 90s. I don't know. That video was long. Hopefully this video won't be as long because now we're getting more recent. So there probably won't be as many. And some people actually, if they do have one so far, they're young enough to probably get some more all-star bids pretty soon. Some selections. We shall see what's up on this list. But yeah, I did this video like 3 months ago. So make sure you like, share, subscribe as well. Doing something a little bit fun. Not to get on the whole commentary about this current NBA and how it's going for some people. But anyways, starting with the 2012 All-Star Game, which was in Orlando, Florida. I gotta make another trip out there soon. Very soon. But anyways, in this draft, in this All-Star, we had two people that were All-Stars, and it was never All-Stars again after that. One being Andrew Bynum. The 2011-2012 season, Andrew Bynum averaged 18.7 points per game, 11 rebounds, shooting 50% from the field, and the Lakers did finish that year 41-25. Remember, this was the what was it called? The lockout season. Yes. The lockout season. So this was his only All-Star, and then after that, Andrew Bynum kind of fell out due to injuries and other goofy stuff he was probably doing. He's one of those people that could have been. He really was. I remember when he was first drafted into the league. It's quite funny. But yeah, what else did he get that year? I think he was selected NBA All-Team that year as well. As I'm looking for a reminder. Some dude got on me because I looked on the notes. Shut your ass up. I can do what I want. But he was NBA All-Second Team that year. And he only finished his career with 4,000 points, 3,000 rebounds, and 657 blocks. And then after that season, he was shipped to Cleveland. He was traded to the Philadelphia 76ers at 40. That's what happened. That's how they got Dwight Howard. Lakers got Dwight Howard. But that year he was he had 21 points and 22 rebounds, and he was a starter, player of the year honors as well. But towards the end of that season, it was kind of going downhill with him. I remember he was fined for not joining the huddle. He did grab a career in the NBA season high 30 rebounds against the San Antonio Spurs. That's with Tim Duncan and all of them still on there. He was the fifth Laker player ever to register at least 30 rebounds in a single game. He did finish that year with a regular season with career highs in minutes per game, tied 24th overall, rebounds per game, 3rd overall, and points per game, 20th overall. And he also finished with the 3rd highest field goal percentage in the league and 6th overall and per blocks per game. He ended the season tied with OKC guard Russell Westbrook at 10th overall player efficiency rating with a PER of 23. He only missed one game that season. You know, he was the injury prone as well, due to an ankle injury. And I don't even remember this. This must be a fabrication. I don't know. I forgot about this. But I guess he was regarded as being the top center in the NBA along with Dwight Howard. And the game was very scarce with centers back then. That year in the playoffs, he had a triple-double with 10 points, 13 rebounds, 10 block shots. Those 10 block shots broke Kareem Jabbar's franchise record at 9 and tied the NBA player record set by Mark Eaton and Hakeem the Dream. So that was pretty much it for Andrew Bynum that year. And like I said, pretty much that year he fell off. Now there was another person that year who got one All-Star, and that was it for him. But he would end up with 4 finals trophies and 1 MVP, finals MVP, and that was Andre Iguodala for the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 14.1 points per game, 6.3 assists, 5 rebounds, and the Sixers finished 35-31. He did shot 45% that year as well. So that was the second person. Now we're going to skip to the next year in 2013 All-Star game, which I think was in Houston. Brook Lopez in his only All-Star game, 19.4 points per game, 6 rebounds. See, for somebody that's 7 foot, you sure don't get a lot of rebounds, but most 7-footers for some reason don't get a lot of rebounds. Brook shot 52% that year. The Brooklyn Nets finished 49-33. And as we all know, Brook Lopez is the Nets' all-time leading scorer as well. The second person on here was actually across the river. Across the river with Tyson Chandler. That year, Tyson Chandler was an all-star. I think he was a reserve. I also think Brook Lopez was a reserve too. Tyson Chandler averaged 10.4 points per game, 10 rebounds, shooting 63%. And the New York Knicks did finish 54-28 that season. I think they was knocked out by Indiana as well for the New York Knicks, as I said before. And he was also defensive first team that year. He was defensive player of the year before. So this is coming off him a couple years after that championship they got as well. After the 2012-13 season, he's third averaging a double-double while shooting at least 60% from the field. Tyson Chandler matched Wilt Chamberlain and Jordan. Artis Gilmore is the only players in league history that accomplished this at least 3 times in their career. DeAndre Jordan is on that list as well. In February, before the All-Star game, he tied a franchise record with 320 straight rebound games, becoming the first Knicks player to have 20 in 3 straight games since Willis Reed in December 1969. After the All-Star break, February 27, he had 16 points and a career best 28 rebounds. Damn. In a 109-105 win over the Golden State Warriors. And like I said before, he was named first team, becoming the first Knicks player to earn first team honors since Charles Oakley in '94. So that was pretty much it for the one-time All-Stars in 2013. Now we skip a year and go to 2015. But I think these two should never made it, but since their team was so good, they ended up making it anyway. And I also think one of them was a replacement. I think Kyle Korver was a replacement for Dwayne Wade, I think, that year. Kyle Korver that year averaged 12 points a game. He shot 48% from the field. And Atlanta was 60-22. Jeff Teague was 15.9 points per game as well, 46%. And of course, 60-22. That team, I think, had 4 All-Stars with Paul Millsap and Al Horford. And Joe Johnson was on the team. I think he was on the Nets around that time. So, yeah, the Nets were the best team in the East, so of course they was going to get 4 people in there. I always thought it might be silly afterthought, but I always thought, oh boy, they got crossed up by Kyrie Irving that rookie game. Brandon Knight, I always thought he should have been an All-Star because after he was traded to Phoenix, the Bucks went downhill. Still made it to the playoffs, but they went downhill. They did like 10 games or above 500 when they traded him, before they traded him. Let's get to 2017. DeAndre Jordan, one-time All-Star as well, 12 points a game. shot a whopping 71%. Career high from the field. But of course, all his is putbacks and dunks and straight under the basket. He did average 13 rebounds. Again, so he averaged a double-double. And the Clippers finished 51-31. Now, the second person this year, Gordon Hayward, he's playing for the Utah Jazz at the time, averaging 21.9 points per game, 47% and 5 rebounds per game as well, 47% from the field. And Utah was 51-31, and I think they would end up losing to the Golden State Warriors second round. So, all right, skip over to next year, 2018 All-Star Game, which was in LA. Kristaps Porzingis, the only one-time All-Star on that list. He averaged 22.7 points per game, 6 rebounds, shooting 43% from the field. I think he shot 39 from 3. And the New York Knicks was terrible that year. How the hell did he get to the freaking All-Star Game? Wait a minute. I gotta read that again. I wrote that down, making sure, but how the hell? The hell? How did he get an All-Star bid that year? Well, I guess this. Porzingis recorded the best start to his season for the Knicks player, earning 300 points through 10 games. 2 more than Bernard King had to open the 84-85 season. His performances continued where on January 23rd, 2018, I guess he was named Eastern Conference All-Star, so he wasn't even a replacement. That year he had a career high of 40 points, 2 career highs, actually in points, 38 points of career high with the Nuggets, and then less than a week later, 40 points with a career high against the Pacers. He was named Eastern Conference Player for a couple of weeks that year, I guess. They was only 29 and 53 that year. They was trash. Alright, skip to the next year. 2019 All-Star Game. The one-time All-Star in this. In Charlotte was DeAngelo Russell for the Brooklyn Nets, averaging 21 points a game, 7 assists, 3 rebounds. He shot 43%, and I think the Nets they finished above 500, and I also think they got to the playoffs that year. Yes, they did. I think they played the Philadelphia 76ers. But DeAngelo Russell, he still has time to become a multiple-time All-Star, but I don't think he came close to being an All-Star anytime soon, especially when you play on the Lakers with, I ain't gonna say his name, but you know what I'm gonna say. You know who I'm talking about. So that was pretty much it. Now, I got 3 more All-Star years on here. 2020 All-Star Game, one-time All-Star, Brandon Ingram. Now, I didn't write his stats on there. He was a reserve that year, and he still has possibly time to become an All-Star again if he can stay healthy as well. But he has some steep competition with everybody else getting better. 2021 All-Star Game in Atlanta. Now, I think this is the only certified one-time All-Star on this list because he's pretty much at the end of his career now. Mike Conley Jr., 16.2 points per game. 3.5 rebounds. That was a career high for him that year. 6 assists, and he shot 44% as well. Utah Jazz finished 52-20, probably the equivalent of 62-20 that year for the Utah Jazz, and I think he was a replacement for maybe Devin Booker. So that was your only one-time All-Star for the 21-21 All-Star Game. Now, honorable mentions. I think one person may be, maybe 2, possibly. But for the NBA All-Star 22 game in Cleveland, Andrew Wiggins, 17.2 points per game, shot 46% for Golden State that year, and he was a starter. And he was voted in as a starter, and I think there was something else going on. Because if you guys remember how Andrew Wiggins felt about a certain shot that he had to take, and all of a sudden he's an all-star starter. It's like he was rewarded for taking that shot. Wink, wink. But anyways, I don't think he's gonna be an all-star anytime soon, because think about it. He wasn't an all-star last year. You know he didn't deserve it, but he didn't get any votes. How did he get votes in 2022 as a starter and not the previous? That's weird, ain't it? It's weird, because he took the shot. That's where it was his reward. Now, the other person on this list, I don't think he's ever gonna get an all-star. Maybe he might, I don't know. He's still somewhat young. It's Fred VanVleet. In that year, for the Toronto Raptors, he averaged 20 points a game. He shot 40%, averaging 4 rebounds and 6 assists for Toronto. Who knows if he gets another all-star bid? Not. He does play in the West, and now you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and De'Aaron Fox and Ant and other players coming up. Who knows? Now, the other 3 on this list, I didn't put their stats on here. They possibly could be an all-star in the near future, but so far they've been one-time all-star. DeJounte Murray, he was an all-star that year, but for San Antonio. Who knows if he gets another chance this year, next coming years. Jared Allen of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Who knows if he ever be an all-star again. And Darius Garland, he was a one-time all-star. I think all 3 of them were reserves. I think everybody was on the list was reserves except for Wiggins. But who knows of these 3? They're still mighty young. Who knows if they get another all-star bid or selection, I should say. I don't want to say bid. Selection. Darius Garland is still young, so who knows? But he has some competition. This year, I think he was been injured for most of the season, but he does have competition. So is DeJounte Murray if he stays in Atlanta, because now you have the rise of Jalen Brunson as well, knocking everybody out of there. I'm trying to think, and then you got Tyrese Halliburton as well. So you got guards just taking up more spots for those 2. And then he got his own teammate, Donovan Mitchell, which I think is going to the All-Star game this year, I think. So, anyways, that concludes the series so far. Let's do a part 3, going back to the 90s and 80s. Let me know if you guys want to hear that. One-time All-Stars. With only All-Stars one time, that was it in the 90s and 80s. But that's pretty much it. So that's part 2. But tell me what you guys think.